have the light of life. Alleluia, 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 alleluia.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his disciples, "You are the salt of the earth, but if salt loses its taste, with what can it be seasoned? It is no longer good for anything but to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A city set on a mountain cannot be hidden. Nor do they light a lamp and then put it under a bushel basket. It is set on a lampstand where it gives light to all in the house. Just so your light must shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your heavenly Father." The Gospel of the Lord. As Greg mentioned in our opening announcements, we will have our in-pew appeal for CMA, which I will talk about as part of the homily. Today's gospel really gets to the heart of what it means to be a Christian, where we have to labor for God, all for his greater glory. Jesus says, "You are the salt of the earth and the light of the world," and concludes today's gospel by saying, "Your light must shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your heavenly Father." The image of salt and light is a powerful image because of their tremendous value. Salt, no doubt, has its own flavor and can preserve, but it serves its real purpose for drawing out the flavor of food that is locked inside of the food itself. And when it comes to light, for example, when you're fumbling around in the dark because the light went out and you can't find that flashlight, you really have a hard time even performing the most minimal task, let alone trying to walk around in the dark. Now, when you think about salt that loses its saltiness and its ability to season or preserve food, and it becomes worthless, it would be just like a person who is a Christian who lets himself or herself become weak in their faith and run the risk of falling back into sin. Likewise, the theme of light works in a similar way. If you cover a light up, it's not effective in bringing light into the darkness. For the Christian, that would be detrimental because we are called to be, or called by Christ to be, a light for the world. And we received this light when we were baptized. And we want our light to burn brighter and brighter by growing in our faith. Now, the opposite of this would be to keep your faith only to yourself. And in doing this, your light will start becoming dim, to say the least, because our faith is meant to be shared. So we bring the light of Christ as his disciples into the darkness. Of course, we have some great examples of wonderful men and women in the past and in the present who would not let their faith be extinguished or become meaningless. One example from the past, and there are many to choose from, who left a mediocre life to let their faith burn brightly in the world, was St. Alphonsus Liguori. He was a brilliant man, and already at the age of 16, he was made a doctor in law. However, as it turned out, he lost an important law case in court by making a mistake, which did not sit well with his vanity for human fame. The event became instrumental in the life of the future saint because, as good as he was, it showed him how frivolous it was to be seeking after human fame. Alphonsus Liguori, by God's grace, turned things around by setting his mind on the things of God and labored the rest of his life only for the glory of God. No doubt, as we can see, it was a fabulous turn of events as Alphonsus Liguori went on to become a priest, caring for the most neglected, priest caring for the most neglected of souls. And it didn't end there, as God called him to be a bishop. And he also became doctor of the church, along with becoming a prolific writer and a saint to boot. As we reflect on St. Alphonsus Liguori's life, we find that instead of following a faithless and useless way of life, which is represented in the gospel by salt losing its taste, he instead went on to become a strong man of faith and a light for the world, winning souls for Christ by his deeds. And even though he was persecuted for spreading the faith, that would not let his light of faith be extinguished, and it burned ever brighter for the greater glory of God. Of course, there are many ways that we can be the salt of the earth that doesn't lose its taste, and likewise a light for others. And one of these ways is to support the Catholic Ministries Appeal, known as the CMA. It is an important ministry to support, as we heard in the Archbishop's homily recently concerning CMA, as it helps so many. In fact, the CMA supports the education of priests, deacons, and lay ministers, as well as hospitals, prisons, and campus ministries. Through the CMA, you are also supporting Catholic charities and social services, evangelization programs, retired priests, and St. Rita's School for the Deaf, all local programs. Now, to give you one fine example from the many services provided by CMA, which helps so many people, involves the ministries to prisons. In this account from CMA, a man named Derek was incarcerated at the Lebanon Correctional Institute. He was a gang member and spent a lot of time in solitary confinement during his 5-year sentence. One day, Derek was walking by the prison chapel and was shocked to see a fellow gang member carrying the crucifix at the beginning of Mass. Later, Derek asked him about it, and the inmate said to Derek he should check out the Catholic classes that really had something to offer. Derek started going to Catholic Instruction, one of the ministries supported by the Catholic Ministries Appeal, and he found a new community. He learned about Jesus, about forgiveness, and Catholic beliefs. Derek was baptized in prison last Easter, and his incarceration ended last summer. Derek said finding the Catholic Church in prison put him on a new path and was the best thing that ever happened to him. He says it changed his life and gave him a new way of living. Of course, this is just one wonderful story and powerful story out of many of how the CMA helps so many, and our support is crucial to the program. Best of all, by our support for CMA, this is one of the many ways we can be the salt of the earth and a light shining before others, as Jesus' faithful disciples who labor for the glory of God and win souls for Christ. Now, at this time, you should have received your Catholic Ministries Appeal, the CMA donation envelopes, in the mail. For those who have not received a donation envelope, or for anyone who would like to donate to CMA today, our parish has provided extra envelopes at the end of the pews, which at this time you can pass down to one another along with the pencils. So who's ever at the end of the pews, just pass those cards down along with the pencils. You can do that at this time. We will take some time to fill them out today, And if you wish to do so, you can place them in the collection basket when it comes around. Or you may take them home and drop them off at a later time. Thank you to all who have already donated to CMA, and for those who will donate today and in the near future. At this time, we will take a few minutes to fill out the donation cards for CMA.